Auburn's still waiting on an eligibility issue that could drastically change their pass rush.
In the world full of podcasts, he's the undisputed heavyweight champion of hot takes, an Auburn sports homer, master of the boog, and message board legend. Get your buttons buttoned and your hats flattened because the Top Button Podcast is about to kick off. And you don't want to miss your courtside seat. Now, here's your host, Charlie Five.
So we're back. It's another episode of the Top Button Podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Rush, a.k.a. Charlie Five, and we are ready to get after it. We're live, all the way live, and ready to talk some Auburn football, Auburn basketball. Auburn's still waiting on an eligibility decision that may or may not happen in the near future. I think the big news is it's still in the air. Like it's not solved. We're going to talk about that and what it would mean for this roster if it works out in Auburn's favor. We're going to talk about the Dallas Walker impact, and then we're going to do it. We're going to talk about the loss last night and what it means for the rest of this season. And let's just go ahead and jump right in. Look, there was I rewatched some of the launch event stuff from Birmingham, and there was a very, very quick media period and that Golesh spoke in, and I missed this answer on the front end, and I want to play it for you guys and then discuss it. He was asked about, some other staffs, other schools have had some rulings and whatnot from kids getting an extra year of eligibility or awarded a medical hardship or this or that, and asked if there's anybody necessarily that's up in the air with Auburn after, Dallas Walker got his waiver approved. And this was Golesh's answer.
You know what? We've got one we're still waiting on. That one was really big, though. It was kind of one of those cherries on top that you didn't know. You really were planning, and the way we recruited through the portal, we were recruiting as if we didn't have it. But that was a neat phone call. That was pretty cool. And he's a neat kid. Kid trending towards young man, and he's as giddy as anybody to be able to be back with the team.
The key there was we're still waiting on one. Okay, and obviously I'm already seeing it in the chat. A lot of people already mentioning that name, and it's Chris Murray. So the good news is that we're still waiting and that it's not over. So there's still a chance. Just like on Dumb and Dumber, what's all that 1 in a million talk you gave me? You're telling me there's a chance? Hey, as long as we're still waiting, there's still an opportunity that he could be granted that year. Let's talk about what the argument is, though. I think that's what a lot of people are like, how does this – okay, so what are we basing this off of? What is his argument? So because if you know the argument, you kind of know what the odds are. With Dallas Walker, it was simply you got 5 years to play 4, and you throw in that COVID year. He had a year in there that he just didn't play football. So based off of everything you've seen across college football, it was kind of a no-brainer. But what is Chris Murray's story, and then what is his argument? And I think that's the key to deciding or to understanding if this thing really has a chance. So he signed with TCU in the 2021 recruiting class, okay? So you go back, he signed with TCU 2021, and he redshirted. Did not play, okay? So he goes into the 2022 year as a redshirt freshman, and he transfers to Sam Houston State, all right? The thing is, and this to me, this 2022 year is what this is all going to come down to, because he was injured in that season, okay? But he did play in 5 games, okay? He played, I think, in the very first 4, and then he got injured, and then I think maybe he played the last game of the season. So there's definitely some wiggle room there. Could he apply for a medical hardship? Could that be deemed a medical redshirt year? I think that is going to be the biggest argument of what this whole thing hinges on. That's going to be the year that this whole thing hinges on, because 2023 he played a full season. 2024 he played a full season. And 2025 he played a full season. So this one's tough, okay? Because it doesn't feel like the NCAA has really budged too much once you go over those 4 games. There's not a lot of examples you can pull from that if you get over those 4 games, that they're going to make any exceptions. So I'm honestly kind of shocked that there already hasn't been a shoot down, or at least a preliminary no and then an appeal. Like, for it to be going on this long, it kind of gives me a little bit of hope that this could possibly be one of those cases that works out in our favor. So that's going to be the thing to watch. What does the NCAA decide about that 2022 year? That's everything. So if you people are asking you out there, that's what this thing's going to hinge on. What happens with that 2022 year? Yeah, Daryl Dappert says find a local judge and let's just fire up an injunction. Hey, I'm with you. At some point in time, you got to start playing hardball. One of the reasons this may be one you play hardball on is because this completely changes Auburn's pass rush situation. I mean, Chris Murray last year, according to Pro Football Focus, was Auburn's 6th best pass rusher as far as a pass rushing grade. And guess what? Only 3 of the guys in front of him are returning. And it just so happens that, it's Jared Smith and Darian Smith, which is great because that's young guys that you invested in to bring back. But those 3 guys were your main pass rushers that are could be returning for next year. And Chris Murray played, if you add both of their snaps together, he just about played double the snaps of both of theirs combined. So tons of hurries, I think he had 11 hurries, 15 pressures, which is really, really solid for the amount of snaps that he actually played. He would change everything. He would make that. You don't have to convince yourself on potential anymore if that's the case. You're looking at proven production one more year in this system. And we all know we love the size, 6'3", 6'4", 250. He can drop in coverage. He can set the edge. And we know he can get after the quarterback. I think him coming back just helps Jared Smith. Him coming back helps all these guys. J.J. Falk, and you don't have to just rely on, potential, I guess. Deshaun Womack, I'm extremely excited about him just because of his ceiling and his potential. He was a 5-star, but he hasn't really had that breakout year yet. So is that what we're going to hinge the whole pass rushing mechanism from the defensive front on? It'd be really, really great. I don't think it sinks us by any means if he doesn't get approved. But boy, oh boy, you're talking about game changing if that kid can get this thing, if we can get this thing through for that kid. And I think maybe, just maybe, this is a guy you pull the gloves off and just get in a street match over. This is a guy that you may have to go dirty on to get in. I think it's worth it, especially year one, coming off multiple years of losing seasons. I really do. I really, really think this guy could change everything as far as that defensive front goes. It may be worth it. It may be worth ruffling some feathers, so to speak. So we'll see what happens. Anything, and to answer your question, JJ, we talked about it earlier. There's not a ton of precedent in the positive for the NCAA making those medical exceptions if you play over 4 games. It's just, especially if you already have a red shirt, which he already does. He already had a red shirt in 2021. So it's that 2022 season that's under, I guess, that's in question. So we'll see what happens. There was a lot of talk about Dallas Walker too in there. So we'll talk about Dallas Walker and his impact. It's very, very similar to Chris Murray. We're going to talk about that in just a second. But before we do that, you can see me geared up head to toe with Scarlet Oaks Roofing and Renovations. Y'all need to give a shout to Preston if you live anywhere in East Alabama, from Montgomery all the way to Columbus. Give him a shout, 770-530-7738. If you've got a roof over about 10 years old, you need to get a free inspection on it because it's probably got some damage in there. They've got insurance professionals you can work with. If you're unsure about the claims process and how that works, they can handle it all for you. They got great gear too. Like, I want to just hand out Scarlet Oaks gear. This hoodie's fantastic. The hats are fantastic, but the roof care is even better. So show them some love. Scarlet Oaks. Give Preston a shout. And we're also going to give a quick shout out to rowback.com. Use coupon code BARN20 to take 20% off your order. Polos, pullovers, hoodies, all that. They even have Auburn licensed apparel. You've seen me wearing it. You've seen all of our cast of characters wearing it. It's good stuff. Show them some love. It's rowback.com. We'll be back right after this. He talked about Dallas Walker. We really spent a whole segment on like one sentence. One sentence of that answer. And then the rest of the Golesh answer was about Dallas Walker. And you know what? That makes sense because Dallas Walker is not only a literal huge, I don't know, we call these things additions? Chat, what do we call these things when you save a kid and he gets to come back? We can't call it addition. We need a really good name for it. So hit me up with some name ideas in the chat for someone you save. You save a year of eligibility and they get to come back, because that seems to be just as big as adding someone in the portal now. So yeah, it's a literal huge addition in the middle, and it's also a great literal big addition, re-addition, whatever you want to call it, for that interior defensive line and the impact that he can create and the flexibility that he gives Vontrell, King, Williams, and with that whole rotation. It's very, very similar. It's very, very similar to the Chris Murray situation in that you got proven production. You know what you get, okay? I think St. Ferrier could be an incredible addition. I think he could be really, really good in this system. I think he has flexibility to be a two-gap or a one-gap guy. We know Dallas Walker can be a two-gap guy. I think St. Ferrier has that opportunity to possibly be that as well. And when you can have two of those guys, and then we ain't even talked about Jordan Crawford. I expected Jordan Crawford to have more of an impact last year. I expected him to have much more of an impact last year just because of how strong and physically put together he was as a true freshman and how like prototype he is for that true two-gap guy right there in the middle. But he didn't. But who knows after a year in the system what he can become. But Dallas Walker, I mean, if we're just talking those three guys right there, that's not an easy position to play. That is not a position that you that play 80 snaps a game. I mean, that has to be arguably the most physically demanding position on the field. Or maybe both sides of the ball. Let me know if you think there's one that's more physical than just that true nose two-gapper right there that's lines up right on top of the center, and he's just sitting down and taking space, taking double teams, like all that stuff. I can't really think of another position that requires more physicality, and you're going to get banged on more than that one right there. So it's really tough to have one guy and expect him to play 50-plus snaps. Now, with Dallas, based off last year, I think he played somewhere in the neighborhood of 20-ish snaps a game. Now you can kind of rotate. He could maybe increase that load a little bit And then, hey, St. Fair can play those 20 snaps a game, or Jordan Crawford can come in and play 15 to 20 snaps a game. And that gets you a full game's worth, because I think ideally, if you can have that true difference maker right there in the middle, and he can eat both of those gaps, what do we spend the money on this defense? What did we invest in to be the linchpin, the focus, the drivers of this defense? It's the linebackers. And every body you can take off of them, every blocker you can remove from these linebackers, the more plays this team's going to make, the more plays this defense is going to make. So I can't express enough how big it is to have these guys coming in. Exactly, Steven. Got to be able to rotate those guys. You got to be able to have a good rotation of defensive linemen. Some of Auburn's best defenses, man, you had platoons. Those guys just stay fresh. Huge, huge, huge to get Dallas Walker back. Hopefully, we can get Chris Murray back, and then we'll really, really be cooking. All right, we've booked hard. Now we got to come back to reality a little bit, and let's talk about basketball. We talked about what the metrics are to watch as far as what it takes for Auburn to get to the tournament. They're right there at low 30s, 31, 32 in net. The net has not updated, at least as of now. I'll check it right now. Net rankings basketball. There were 32, I think, last night. And they have not updated. So I'm sure at some point in time the net rankings will update. And if you can stay inside the top 40, there's a really, really good chance that Auburn can make the tournament. I thought 3 wins get you in. And you had four good opportunities to do it, and last night was one of them. And unfortunately, it took you way too long to shut out a guy that was just unconscious. And I think that's probably – there's 2 big takeaways that were very disheartening, because I felt like talent and shooters have let us down a lot, but I felt like coaching adjustments – and Steven mentioned it. So it's not like I'm calling out anybody. He mentioned it in the post-game press conference. There were some coaching adjustments in 2 particular times that I felt like cost us that game. Number one, it was taking a whole half before you had any kind of adjustment for Hubbard. Hubbard barely touched the ball in the second half. They put Kevin Overton on him, and they said, Overton, don't ever look at the basketball. Screw the basketball. Don't look at the goal. All you do is you put your eyes on Hubbard's eyes, face guard him. Do not let him catch a pass. Do not let him get the ball. Deny him from the time he crosses half court. And if he brings the ball up the court, we're going to trap him and take our chances and make him pass. Can't let him have the ball anymore. And it worked. A lot of his points in the second half were free throws. Why did it take that long to figure that out? Because that doesn't necessarily seem like – that seems like an adjustment that you could probably make in a timeout. And I'll be honest, I'm not an X's and O's basketball guy, so if you are in the chat, let me know. That doesn't seem like that big of a philosophy change. That doesn't seem like that big of a adjustment to make. Now, maybe the trapping and the rotations behind, because you're going to be down a man, maybe that is what's a little bit more difficult, and you need more time to plan that out. But just putting Overton on him and letting him face guard in the whole second half, I mean, it worked. I just wish we could have done it a little sooner so that you weren't down, 18 points a half? So that was obviously disheartening. And then the last stretch where Auburn had the 7-point lead, we carried 2 timeouts home with us. Hopefully we can bank those and use them Saturday. I mean, obviously that's not the case. But, yeah, we had an opportunity, I felt like, had several opportunities to win the game, and we just kind of let the game get away from us. Even after the three-pointer, hey, let's figure out, let's get some really good possessions. Just didn't even really get many good offensive looks there down the stretch, and you blew a 7-point lead late, and then you don't even get you don't even really get any good shots off. And you had Kevin Overton take one of the bigger shots of the game, and I don't even know how he's breathing. Like, I don't even know how he has the legs to be able to get a jump shot up. So that was probably one of the more disheartening games of the season. Like, you've had a really tough stretch of games. That one's very winnable. You were favored in the game. Mississippi State's not good. Hubbard's not even particularly that great of a three-point shooter. I know we had hands in his face, but, man, when a guy's getting hot like that, you can't just let him eventually, score 35 points and then let's make okay, enough is enough. We got to change some things. Well, how about when he hits the first 4 in a row, hey, this guy's feeling it, and they're going in from all different angles. Like, let's change some stuff up. So you still got a chance to make the tournament. You've gone now from in a good spot to you're just technically still alive, okay? And you basically have no more room for error. You can lose to Kentucky. A win would be phenomenal because it's going to be a quad 1 game. You can lose to Kentucky and you're still okay, but you cannot lose one of LSU, Ole Miss, or Oklahoma. You got to win all of them. You got to win 3 more games. Those are your 3 targets. If you win those 3 games, you're probably still in. But there is no more room for error. Okay, so what's going to stink is Kentucky. You lose at Kentucky. That's 7. What is that? 7 in a row? 6 or 7 in a row? That's going to be mentally tough to kind of overcome. But you still got those other 3 games that are the most important games left on the schedule. Got to win those. You win those 3, you're in. You win those 3, you should be in, no issue. You'll be in the top 40 in net. So there's still that to play for. So we'll see if they can rebound and if they can make it happen. Shout out to Barn Booster last night too at the barn on the Barncast. Said he was going to give us $20 for a win. Dude still dropped $20 even after a loss. He is literally the Barn Booster. He's the booster for the barn. So shout out to him. Shout out to everybody that joined the Barncast. That was our biggest live audience, like at one point in time for any basketball game all year. So I thought the late games would kill it, but the late games seem to help. So shout out to all you guys. Really appreciate it. I got a little emotional, and I apologize if I rough talked you. It's a tough game, and then when it's just like we suck, fire everybody, it weighs on you a little bit. But I really do appreciate everyone that joins those things. They're a lot of fun. Guys, I really appreciate you listening. Let me know what you think about Chris Murray. Let me know what you think about Dallas Walker. Let me know what you think about this basketball team. And, hey, guess what? We're going to be live all the way live again tomorrow. So this has been a lot of fun, and I hope that we can keep it going. Y'all have a great day. We'll be back again soon. It's another episode of the Top Button Podcast. Stay buttoned.
Thanks for listening, and drive home safely.